Welcome to Leadership Beyond Burnout. This is the space where healing fuels leadership and where leaders rise, not just to succeed, but to thrive. I'm your host, Dr. Kimberly L. Wilson, and guide on this journey to restore, reignite, and redefine what powerful leadership looks like, starting from within. Now, this is the sanctuary for leaders who are done pretending everything's fine while they silently run on fumes. Now, here we explore what it truly means to heal, lead, and succeed without sacrificing your soul or your sanity. In each episode, we invite bold, brilliant minds who've navigated burnout, breakthrough, and bold reinvention. Now, this isn't just leadership as usual. This is the revolution of the resilient, and you're invited to this table. Let's dive in and meet today's guest. Today, we have Brenda Winkle. She is an energetic leadership guide, intuitive channel, and somatic mentor, helping visionary professionals reclaim their energy, trust their inner knowing, and lead with clarity, soul, and ease. Blending decades of experience in leadership and education with intuitive gifts, energy healing, and trauma-informed and somatic work, Brenda supports high-capacity leaders, executives, educators, physicians, creatives, and spiritual seekers through transitions that demand more than just mindset alone. Her grounded yet expansive approach helps leaders come home to themselves and lead from presence and not pressure. Known for her calm authority, psychic precision, and nurturing presence, Brenda creates high-frequency spaces for deep recalibration, whether she's speaking on stage, guiding breathwork, conducting a choir, or working one-on-one with clients ready to step into their next chapter. And without further ado, let's bring on Brenda Winkle.
Hi, Dr. Kimberly. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for being here today. I'm sure there are tons of questions that our viewers want to ask you, so I'm going to try and ask all of those questions and just glean through. Let's start with how you bring healing to the world.
I think that's such a big question. And I feel like there's a really specific answer I could give you for me, but I want to make it broader because
Okay.
I feel like the thing that unlocked for me, that has helped me unlock things for other people, is coming home to myself and really owning what gifts I have and letting them come through me. We each have such a unique medicine, and the world needs our unique medicine. It's like we're here to create this beautiful puzzle, and it needs all of us. And so the way that I like to guide people is to bring them home to themselves.
Wow. That's a very unique answer, and I loved how you shared your gifts as well as invited others to let their unique flags fly and not be afraid to hide it. I think so often, I remember my early days when I was leading, I found a template, someone you admire, someone who's mentored you, whether they knew they were mentoring you or not. And it was, okay, do what they do, and then I'll be okay. I'll be a great leader, but it doesn't work like that. Have you seen people find their energy depleted because of that?
Absolutely. In fact, that was my story. My story was trying to conform, trying to fit in the mold, trying to fit in the boxes of conventionality of what was considered normal and appropriate. And I was successful by all standard metrics, but
Mhm.
inwardly, I felt like I was crumbling. And a lot of people that come to me are that way too. They're very successful by any outward metric, but
Mm-hmm.
internally they feel disconnected from their purpose. They feel a lack of authenticity in their relationships. Sometimes there's conflict in their closest relationships because they're not showing up fully. And that not showing up fully in any relationship, whether it's work, leadership, romantic, friendship, leads to resentment ultimately, because
Absolutely.
we we're not showing up or asking for what we need, and that means we're not being our best selves, even though the reason that we're not showing up fully is because we were trying so hard to be our best selves.
Mm-hmm. And to be what other people need us to be,
That's
or
right.
what we think we need them to be. Uh, I've heard so many feel as if it's like whack-a-mole. If you stick up and you're different, then you're going to get slapped by the corporate machine or someone, and to get back in line, conform, and just do what we told you to do.
Mm-hmm. Another term I've heard is the tall poppy syndrome, where if
Mm,
you grow up too tall, they'll come down and they'll try to cut you off at the knees. And you know that's a fear for so many people, that
absolutely.
if we stick our heads up too high or we make ourselves too visible, bad things can happen.
Hmm.
And so we need to work on nervous system regulation, which is a lot of the work that I do, so that we build the capacity internally so that that kind of thing doesn't feel so scary.
And I'd love to know how you present or share your gifts to help them heal with some. As I was reading your bio, let me back up. As I was reading your bio, I was thinking about the ultra conservative leader and feeling like, wow, this sounds really woo woo. I don't know if she's for me. This I don't know what any of this means. How would you explain that?
For the ultra conservative leader, let me just say that when you can speak your truth, you feel better.
Mm,
And our truths, sometimes we're taught or we believe that if we share our truth, it means we can't play on the same team as other people. But the reality is, the more truthful we each are to ourselves, the more we're able to unlock our unique gifts.
mm,
And that's what true leadership is. So as an example, it would not work for me to be a leader in the finance sector. I'm not financially minded.
mhm.
That's not where my gifts lie. Numbers kind of freak me out, to tell you the truth. It takes a lot of work for me just to look at my own spreadsheets. And so that's not where my gifts lie, but my gifts do lie in working with people and listening to people and creating emotional resilience and helping with emotional regulation. So that's my unique gift that I
Mhm.
bring. And
Right.
so whether the gift is in leading people or working with numbers or um, bringing together scientific facts or running the government, that's a gift.
Mhm.
And so the way that I work with people is to help you live more into your own gifts. Does that, do you think that would resonate with the conservative leader, or am I still woo woo?
I don't know. That was just the thing that immediately popped in my brain. Like, what would make like a military leader feel like, oh, this is for me. I can see how I can benefit and still uh, fit into the mold and still excel. And a lot of times people just fear what they don't understand. So if it can be broken down so they say, oh, this is what this means. It doesn't mean
Mm-hmm.
that all of a sudden I'm going to want to to skip around in a field and with no shoes on and touching the grass.
Well, I
That's
mean,
just,
we could do that. There's space for that. But as soon as you said
I love that.
military leader, oh, me too. As soon as you said military leader, I got a picture in my mind of a specific kind of person. And the thing that I would say to that specific kind of person is, what I will teach you is how to change your perspective so that you can do the things you need to do for your profession to
Mm,
remain professionally relevant and also find peace within.
okay, to find peace within. Okay, that's helpful. That I think that's really helpful. Now, in my work, I see a lot of high capacity professionals who have chronic stress, overextension, and it shows up decision fatigue, disengaged teens, and burnout. And I'm curious from your somatic and energy perspective, what are the most common ways leaders unconsciously drain themselves, and how can they reclaim their energy to lead from presence
Mm.
rather than pressure?
Yeah, this is a good question. So in the last 2 days, I've worked with two physicians. One is an ER doc and the other is a surgeon. And I don't only work with doctors. It just happened coincidentally that two of them came back to back. And one of the things that I see people do as a stress response is when their schedules get busy, they make them busier. So instead of like
Are you
deciding,
talking to me?
well, I teach what I most needed to know, right?
Right.
So instead of realizing I am nearing my capacity of influence, we, as a stress response, think, well, maybe if I just do these three other things, then I can feel finally like I've done enough. I can finally feel productive, and then I can rest.
Mm-hmm.
And what happens instead is our stress turns into overwhelm, turns into illness, turns into relationship problems. And then we have a whole new ball of stress that we're dealing with because of the problems that we caused. So I see that, number one. Number two, I see a lot of over functioning. And what I mean by that is solving problems that aren't theirs to solve.
What? Do people do that? Of course they do.
They do. And it comes from that place of the more stressed you are, the more you want other people to not be stressed so that you can not be stressed.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I don't know when this concept started, but there is this undercurrent of belief that I have to earn my rest. I have to earn the ability to rejuvenate. Not that it's your inalienable right. You have to do a certain amount of things to get there.
Mm-hmm.
When did you first begin to see that phenomenon? Was it in yourself or within others?
It was in myself, and also I witnessed it in my parents. So
Mm.
as a young child, I would say things like, I don't think my parents know how to play. I don't think they know how to have fun. And so that was just kind of a curiosity, like a question mark over my head. And then as I got into adulthood, I was thinking to myself, am I having fun? I don't
Oh,
know if I'm
that's a
having
dangerous
fun
question.
right now.
That's a
Yeah,
dangerous question for an adult.
it's really dangerous because again, it bucks all convention.
Mm-hmm. Because what do you do with that answer?
Mm. Well, you either decide to have fun, which might mean that you have to change how you're perceiving how you spend your time, going back to what you said about rest.
Yes.
Because fun can be rest. It can be rejuvenating, even if it's active, just simply because you're doing something different.
Right.
And I don't remember, there's a person who has studied rest, and her name is escaping me right now, but she has determined that there are 7 different kinds of rest.
Yes.
And play and fun are one of those types.
Mm-hmm.
And so I remember at the peak of my over-functioning, overachieving, high-achieving leadership burnout, I was full-time teaching. I was an elementary music teacher. And then I was running my business part-time at that time. And I was an opera company children's chorus director.
Oh, wow.
And I was working 70, 75 hours a week. And one week I had done all the normal things plus 9 nutcrackers with my
Mm.
children's choir. And I remember coming home on the last performance,
And
all the,
excuse me, when you say 9 nutcrackers, does that mean 9 performances of the nutcracker?
that's right.
Okay.
9 performances in 1 week of the Nutcracker. There's the waltz of the snowflakes has a children's chorus in it. And so I would get the kids all dressed up. We would go to each performance. We would sing. Then we would leave 9 times in a week in addition to all my other things. So at the end of that performance, all of the children went off with their families, some of them together, some of them separate. They were going to celebrate and have a wonderful time. I went home and laid on the couch, and then I saw the remote across the room and I was too tired to get up and go get it. So I just laid on the couch and I thought to myself, I don't know how to get off this hamster wheel, but I know I have to get off this hamster wheel.
Right, right. And it's ironic that you share that, because I was going to, my very next question was going to be about, have you ever experienced burnout, and what was that moment, and what practices have you put in place to be able to prevent that from occurring again?
Well, the first thing I had to do was quit some jobs.
Mm,
So I was literally working too much. So I stepped down. When COVID came and everyone was very sad that the world shut down, I was relieved because it gave me time to think.
right.
And so I resigned from that job and I hatched a plan to get a different teaching job in a different state. I was living in Idaho, and then I moved to Oregon in the middle of the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
And started a teaching career in Oregon before I realized, no, what I want to do is just run my business full time. So I made plans to quit a bunch of jobs so that I'm working a reasonable amount of time. And then at the same time, I started to study breathwork and somatics. And it was a beautiful benefit that I had to receive the breath work and the somatic coaching before I could learn to share it with others. And so a big part of that process for me was healing from burnout.
And could you, I know there is probably someone, what does she mean, breath work? Like you breathe. So I'd love
Yeah.
to explain that.
Yeah. So breath work is an ancient healing modality. We can see it mentioned in ancient texts all over the world, especially if we look in Asia and the Middle East. We can see references of breath. And so it's kind of sometimes portrayed as a new age thing, but it's not new, and it's not new age, it's ancient. There are only two things that we can do that connect the conscious and the subconscious mind. One of them is blinking our eyes, and the other is our breath. And when we bridge the subconscious mind to the conscious mind, we can begin to understand our patterns. We can reduce stress in the body. We can reduce anxiety and release it. We can actually change our blood chemistry, bringing an acidic blood to a more neutral blood. We can change the blood gases in our body with breath work. And so when I say breath work, I'm talking about a practice where you'd be breathing from 8 to 40 minutes, somewhere in there. But even a 2-minute practice with some intentional, mindful breath would be considered breath work. So even if you set a timer on your phone for 2 minutes and you take slow breaths in through the nose, out through the mouth, that would count as breath work.
What if would you be comfortable leading our audience through a 2-minute breathwork exercise?
Absolutely. I would love it. I get lost in time a little bit. So I'm going to put a stopwatch on so I can keep track a little bit.
Okay, and feel free if you need to tell them to do any preparatory things to be able to enjoy that fully.
Perfect. Thank you. I appreciate that. So if you're driving, I'm going to invite you to not close your eyes. In fact, breath work generally isn't advisable if you're driving or if you're in water. So if you're listening to us in the tub or in the hot tub or the swimming pool, invitation to just push pause and get under hand before you breathe and pull over if you're driving, so that we can just have everybody safe. So the thing that I would invite you to do is just to notice the surface beneath you. If you're sitting, just notice the temperature and the texture, and maybe allow that surface to actually hold you. Is there any way you can lean back into a chair or lean back onto a couch? Or if you're standing, can you just come to a little stillness and maybe rock between your feet? There you go. And then invitation to allow your eyes to drop closed or to a soft gaze. Whatever feels best for you. And just notice what is present in your body right now. Notice if there's any tension anywhere. And perhaps you can begin to release it. Noticing if there's any congestion and direct your natural breath there. And then when you're ready, we'll do a 2-minute breath practice in through the nose, out through the mouth. And you can pick the perfect pace for you. I'll suggest some inhales and exhales, but you can go faster or slower. Whenever you're ready, let's begin. In through the nose, out through the mouth. In and out. Continue that breath pattern. In and out. Invitation to move the body if it wants to move, if it wants to change position. So you can find true comfort, true relaxation. And any emotion that you might be feeling, invitation just to feel it. And let the breath move through you. Invitation to notice the temperature of the breath as you inhale. And play with the length of the exhale to see if you can change the temperature of the breath. Invitation as you breathe to notice if there's any place you can relax. Fingertips, shoulders, the jaw, the belly. How can you relax and release a little more as you breathe? An invitation to inhale deeply, holding the breath briefly at the top. And then exhaling with a sigh. That was about 2 minutes. How did that feel?
Nice. That was nice. That was very nice. When you said to change, now I had never done an exercise where I needed to attempt to change the temperature of the breath. And that one threw me for a loop for a minute. I was like, I don't know where the dial is.
I know. And it brought you right back into the breath, didn't it?
I don't know how to do this. Oh no. So that was really interesting for me.
Yeah. I did that with an intention to create curiosity around what is the temperature? Where is the temperature? How do I do that? Because it's so common for us and so normal for us to have thoughts going as we breathe. And so the more we can bring our attention to the breath, the more we receive the benefit.
Okay. A little sneak in there. Thank you so very much for that. I'm
Yes,
sure
of course.
somebody learned something that they hadn't tried before. So we did have a breathwork facilitator on before, but that's been a while ago. So I really thank you for inviting the audience into that experience and allowing them to try something new or
You're welcome.
be invited back to something they haven't tried for a while.
Yeah, of course.
So I definitely find with any new practice that there are sometimes people who started, you received some benefit and say, okay, that was great. Now I can get back to what I've been doing and need to rediscover that practice again because it was beneficial. So let's go back and do that. Let's continue that on.
Yeah, let's continue it on. I have a free breathwork meditation on my website if people would like to grab that. And it can be something you can just push play on again and again and again. And sometimes it's fun to do something repetitive because you notice your changes when that isn't a variable.
Right. Exactly. Like when you go down that same path on your bike and that was initially very difficult and you're winded and then all of a sudden like, oh, this is nothing. I think I need a better challenge. I need to get a more expensive bike. I need to do this. You begin to vary things because you notice that thing that you did consistently no longer presents a challenge and you can move to another level.
Yeah, that's right. Isn't that a fun feeling?
It is. It shows some accomplishment. Now, I know you support leaders navigating transitions that, go beyond just mindset alone. And I often encounter with leaders with unresolved stress, past trauma, and I notice that it impacts team dynamics and decision making. How do you guide leaders to recognize the hidden patterns and work through them so they can lead with clarity, trust, and ease?
Oh, I love this question because this is really the meat of what I do. So what we look for is a trigger. And a trigger is something that is a negative feeling, whether you're feeling angry, scared, frustrated, sad. And oftentimes our lives serve as the curriculum. So when someone notices that they're feeling a negative way about something that's happening at work, we'll double click into that trigger. And then we can usually connect it to unhealed trauma, child part or protector parts. If you're familiar with IFS therapy, I'm not a therapist, but I'm an IFS trained somatic coach. And so using that framework, we can come face to face with protector parts and firefighter parts. And those are the things that oftentimes leaders haven't really been able to take the time to do because they've had so much work in their jobs and so many expectations for them. And the other interesting thing that happens for a lot of leaders that I work with is they're told overtly not to feel their emotions because they have to continue to function, right? And what happens is if we don't create some sort of escape valve for the stressful emotions that come with being a high capacity leader, it really starts to add up in the body. And it can add up as burnout or stress or anxiety or illness, or just a feeling of not really knowing what you like anymore.
Yeah, I know. I love when I discovered that when I reach a certain point, guess what? I can get up and walk. And it might be just a 10-minute walk, but to feel the sun, to see the trees and hear the birds and smell the air, it's so clearing and healing. And in those moments when I can't get up from a desk or something, I will use a stretchy band just to excise some of that energy out of me.
Something else that is interesting to try is using the breath because you can do it in a boardroom meeting in front of people and no one will know that you're breathing.
Right.
I mean, they know you're breathing, but they're not going to know that you're doing mindful breath.
Yes.
And so when you feel those negative emotions start to rise, invitation to lengthen your exhales. It doesn't matter how much longer they are, but the lengthening reduces anxiety in the body and it will help you think more clearly.
Just don't make it a loud sigh. That won't be positive.
Don't do that. That's right.
You said a very, I'll say a little bit of a loaded word, and that always challenges me through social media when I hear people say, I was triggered. And whenever they say it, it tends to mean, a lot of times it tends to mean that the other person was responsible for how I reacted. And that always just chaps my cheese. So.
It chaps my cheese as well, because here's the thing. I had a mentor once tell me, never waste a good trigger, because the trigger that I feel is showing something
unhealed
in me. And so, yeah.
Yes. So yes, it's not about the other person.
It's never about the other person. As much as parts of us want it to be about the other person or about our parents or about whatever it is, it's never about the other person. It's always about our empowerment, how we are moving forward, what we are doing now, and how we're letting go of anything we're holding on to, like past resentments.
Yes. That said a lot. Past resentments, present resentments, because we often forget how we relive and continue to blame others for so many things because of choices that we are making or that we feel we're being forced to make. When 90% of things in life are voluntary.
That's right. That's right. And I say that as somebody who was in an abusive marriage. So it's really easy for me to blame my partner and to say that it was all his fault. But the truth is, I allowed that behavior to get as bad as it did.
Mm.
Now, there were reasons for that, and I've, had to do my own healing around it. But at the
Right.
end of the day, we all have choices that we can make. We may
Right.
not like the choices that we have, but we
Mm.
all have
Yes.
choices.
Yeah. And that was such a powerful statement, and I love the way that you shared it, in a way that doesn't blame the victim, but shows the culpability in the choice not to make a different choice.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that's hard, I think. For I think one of the things that I've heard, um, a lot of the older generations talking about is that everyone is a snowflake, and that everything is so sensitive and they don't take responsibility for anything. It's always someone else's fault. And it's a very delicate balance, isn't it?
It is a delicate balance. And, I think that there are generations that were simply not allowed to feel anything. And so I think that they probably resent people that are feeling their feelings all over right now. And I have understanding and compassion for that. And
Mhm.
also, as we study epigenetics, we can see that the traumas that our past generations had are living inside of our bodies. And so
Right.
there's a cumulative effect that's happening now that was not present a generation or two ago because of the
Mhm.
accumulation. But to your point of the victim, like, I just can't because I'm a victim. Again, that's absolutely a choice. And there is a woman named Chris Driscoll who would say that that is a self-saboteur when you're stuck in victim mentality. And so the work that I do helps people feel safe enough to make different choices. Because
Mhm.
if you were, let's say you had childhood abuse and then you had marital abuse and then you had a job that had maybe a toxic environment,
Ah,
you may have nervous system cues that are telling your body and brain that it really is safe for you to make unsafe for you to make a different choice. And
right.
so when we heal the nervous system, then we can begin to repattern that. And it seems like you have more choices. You go from having tunnel vision to a wider perspective.
Right. You made me reflect upon how sad I used to be during COVID, when I thought about all the people who were locked up with their abusers
Mm-hmm.
and didn't have school to go to, where the abuser wasn't going to work and they just could not escape it. Just, oh, so glad that that's no longer the case. Um,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now, you said, you just to segue a little bit away from that sadness, where you just came back from a glorious trip. Would you like to share something about
Oh,
that?
I had like the trip of a lifetime. My dad died last August on
Hmm.
August 16th. And so we thought, wouldn't it be fun if we come together to celebrate his life 1 year later?
Hmm.
So my mom, my sister, my brother-in-law, my two nieces, and my daughter and I all met in London. And we
Why
spent,
London?
well, we were looking at my mom was so cute. She gave each of us a piece of paper that she had cut, and we were supposed to write 3 places that we wanted to go on that piece of paper. And then she was going to draw them out and pretend like it was anonymous, even though she knows all of her handwriting. And so she was going to draw them out. And then we would see if there was a common place or places that started to emerge. And London started to emerge. And so we just looked at each other after the third person had also written London, and we were like, maybe it's London. So we just sort of agreed after putting those little papers in the pot. And the next generation, my daughter and my two nieces, they wanted to go, to Australia and New Zealand. And my mom was like, I don't think I can do a 16-hour time difference. And so we thought, well, let's just keep it a little simpler and
Hmm.
do an 8-hour time difference.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Yeah,
Oh man, a whole
it was incredible.
multi-generational trip, 3 generational trip.
Yeah, it was cool. We were in Stonehenge, and Bath on that particular day, on that specific day. And you could just feel like the presence of ancestors, and it was really moving.
Beautiful. Now, do you all have origins in London?
We do. And it's
Ah,
so interesting because my whole life I've said I'm English, Irish, German, but that didn't mean anything to me other than just words I was saying, right?
so you just intuitively knew, or did you do an ancestry
Oh, my
DNA?
mom's big into ancestry. So she's gone back 400 years.
Okay.
And so we knew that there was that history there, but this was the first time that I was like, oh, I get it. I'm English, because
Hmm.
our dishes that had been passed down through generations are the same. Some of the family recipes are the same. Some of the family sayings are the same. And so
Amazing.
I never felt that connection to a place before.
Mm, wow. That's a beautiful experience. Do you feel like everyone had that connected experience, or were someone just like, oh, it's great to be here?
A little bit of both. I think that my younger nieces, they were just happy to be there. And my daughter was sort of like, oh, these dishes look like grandma's. And so there was like a little bit of it, but maybe not uh, as much depth for them. But my sister and I, for sure, were just marveling at, like, I always wondered why our little wine glasses are so tiny. It's because they're English. That's what all these glasses are. That was
Now,
really
were
fun.
those handed down from generations, or just someone just intuitively bought the similar type?
My mom loves dishes, and she feels like every time she has a holiday, she wants some dish from some different member of the family so that
Mhm.
all the family is represented on the table. And
Oh,
so
wow.
we've been seeing these dishes from probably England and Ireland and Germany for our whole lives, not realizing that's what we saw, even though, like I said, I've said my whole life English, Irish, German, but didn't really get what that meant.
Wow. And that kind of triggered in me that when you lead, you pick up these little pieces from all these different leaders that you've had in your life, or
Mm-hmm.
witness, or what you think it should be, and you have all of them represented at your body being the table. And I could see how someone could really become dysregulated, as in, what am I supposed to do and who am I supposed to be,
Mm-hmm.
when all of these pieces are swirling around and there's nothing cohesive to move me forward. So I'm wondering, how does that show up in trusting one's intuition? That could be really tricky under pressure. How do you help them cultivate that trust and that inner guidance, and distinguishing between, is this me or is this someone else talking?
This might be my favorite question ever. So I love this. And if we go with the metaphor of the table,
Mm-hmm.
you can trust your own curiosity. You can trust your own sense of pleasure. You can trust your own feeling state of, ooh, this is good. I want to use this one.
Mm-hmm.
You can trust that. And for many of us, it's a body feeling state where you'll notice that you're smiling when something feels good, or you'll notice that your body language opens slightly. Maybe your shoulders go back and down a little bit, or maybe the inverse is true. Maybe you notice yourself collapsing in a little bit, or you notice that you're curling your hands. And
Mm-hmm.
so when we talk about intuition, is this mine? Is this not? The first thing I love to do is to have people take just a couple deep breaths and then zip up their energetic field. And for even that conservative leader, I know they use breath work in the army. And
Mm-hmm.
so if you can just, maybe it'd be better to imagine blowing up a bubble. Doesn't matter. You
Mm-hmm.
can zip it up, you can blow it up, but create that sovereignty. So then when you're at the table, you can see, oh, leader X over there, they like that pattern, but I prefer this pattern.
Mm-hmm.
So then you can give space for what you know to be right in leadership, as well as honoring what someone else is saying is right for leadership.
Right, right. I think that one of my um, favorite things when I wear my therapist hat is pointing out to people their body language and their expressions when they talk about different things, and it's because it's just so evident. It is truly like a map where you can see these landmarks where they're talking about things, and and you see this light bulb go on. Really? I
Mhm.
smiled when I was talking about that. My shoulders relaxed, my hands, and getting people to get back in touch with their bodies and what they're being told instinctually, what their bodies are screaming out to
Mhm.
us.
Mhm.
It's such a pleasure. Have you seen that light go on when people finally?
Yes. Yes, I love that feeling. And for so many of us, we're taught to not listen to our bodies. And it starts
Mhm.
really young, where we have to ask permission to use the bathroom, and we have to eat on someone else's schedule, and we have to get permission to take a drink of water. And so a lot of tuning into our intuition is relearning and unlearning what other people have told us, and
Right.
then permissioning ourselves to listen to the body. And instead of taking an ibuprofen, get curious around, why do you have that headache?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
if the headache started the moment your boss walked in the room, maybe it's not actually a headache. Maybe it's something else, right?
That is so funny. And it happens so suddenly. We just had an experience the other day. My son has a little Irish mini Irish doodle, and this is a very simplistic a demonstration of that. But we gave him some food, and he walked up to the bowl and he said, "Mom, see, I told you you need to stand over him and tell him to finish his food." And I said, "No." I said, I don't want to have a fat dog. If his body is telling him that he's done, then it's okay for him to stop eating. We can just pick up the bowl, not
Mhm.
make him finish it." And he's like, "Oh, okay, yeah."
I love that example. And it's simple but powerful, because everyone relates to like being told you had to do something you didn't want to do.
Oh,
Yes, me too. Me too. I'm not my best self when I'm being told what to do.
no, no, I think a whole different me surfaces when I'm being told to do something I don't want to do.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So now, Brenda, I would love for you to give the audience a challenge for either their personal life or their workplace to be, and or both, whichever you feel like could help them the most to be able to create something, a positive change. Would you like to issue
Mm.
one?
I would love to. I would love to. So the thing that I would invite you to do, and I think it would be really meaningful to do this across your life, your relationships, your kids, your family, and your career, is to track your energy
Hmm.
and pay attention to what is bringing you joy and what is costing you joy,
Hmm.
what's depleting you. Because when you start to notice what's bringing you joy, oftentimes the very first time we do this, we're kind of surprised. And we're also surprised by the things that are very depleting. And if we can bring more mindfulness and awareness to the things that are fueling or depleting you, you can start to make more informed choices.
Okay.
And I have an energy audit. It's free. It's on my website. If people want to grab it, it's brendawinkle.com/audit. And it's literally this. It's a way to track it. And I have kind of a war with myself. I love to write, and I also am not good with paper. So I have a printable one for the people that are good with paper and love to write, and I have a digital one for the people that might lose their papers. And and they come in the same place. So trying to customize it for everybody.
So now, if you had a Samsung Note, now we were just talking about, we were just talking about if you're Apple or Android. I happen to be an Android girly, and we're able to just take little notes on our phone. We just have to press out our little pen and take a little note.
Ooh, That's really cool. It's really cool. So the thing that I said to you was, I think that we most like the system that we started learning with. And I tried to switch to Android. And 3 days later, I took back the phone in tears and I was like, I just can't. Please give me an iPhone. I just can't.
I know. I bought my daughter so she's an Apple girl with her phone, and but we've always had Android laptops, and we bought an Apple laptop for when she was starting college, and we were done with that thing like within 10 minutes. Was like, what do you mean there's no touch screen? And I'm like, we're pressing like you can't do that. We couldn't do it. It was the same day it went bad.
I understand. I really understand.
Brenda, thank you. It has been such a pleasure and such a joy to have you here. And we really appreciate all the wisdom and the exercise that you shared with our audience.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me. You ask such great questions. I really appreciate the way that you led this conversation.
Oh, you're more than welcome. And thank you very much again. Everyone, you've been tuning in to Leadership Beyond Burnout. I'm your host, Dr. Kimberly L. Wilson. You can see us every Thursday here from 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to 2 p.m. Pacific. Until next time.